Justice Gaerlan Case Notes. Case numbers 1 to 10. Case number 1. Spouses Domasian vs. Demdam, GR number 212349, November 17, 2021. Focus. Civil Law. Summary. The Supreme Court affirmed RTC jurisdiction over the case, ruling that stipulated monetary interest forms part of the total claim, but reduced the unconscionable interest rate to the prevailing legal rate and deleted damages for lack of bad faith. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Stipulated monetary interest in a loan agreement is included in computing jurisdictional amount under Section 19(8) of BPBLG 129, as it is integral to the cause of action. 2. Only compensatory interest, akin to damages, is excluded from jurisdictional computation, not contractual interest. 3. Unconscionable interest rates are void for being contrary to morals and public policy, and must be reduced to the prevailing legal rate, 12% per annum at the time of default, later 6% per annum from July 1, 2013 per Bacar vs. Gallery Frames. Case number 2. Ebancuel vs. Acierto, GR number 214540, July 28, 2021. Focus. Civil Law. Summary. The Supreme Court reversed the CA and ruled that the registered owner's right to recover possession of Torrens registered land is imprescriptible and cannot be defeated by laches, regardless of the length of adverse possession by others. Key points. Doctrines. 1. The right of a registered owner under the Torrens system to recover possession is imprescriptible, and cannot be barred by laches, prescription, or adverse possession. 2. Equity cannot override the property registration decree, which mandates that no title to registered land may be acquired in derogation of the registered owner. 3. Tax declarations and long possession do not confer ownership, and unregistered deeds of sale with dubious provenance cannot defeat a Torrens title. Case number 3. Philippine Phosphate Fertilizer Corp. vs. Mayol, GR numbers 205528-29 and 205799798, December 9, 2020. Focus. Labor Law. Summary. The Supreme Court ruled that PHILPHOS retrenchment program was invalid due to failure to prove substantial, sustained losses and to exhaust less drastic measures, entitling the employees to reinstatement and back wages. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Retrenchment is valid only if based on serious, sustained losses and exercised as a last resort, with proof that less drastic cost-saving measures were first considered. 2. Quitclaims signed under duress or misrepresentation do not bar employees from asserting their legal rights, especially when the underlying retrenchment is found to be illegal. 3. Strained relations must be proven and cannot be presumed, and reinstatement remains the rule unless clearly impracticable. Case number 4. Grand Development Corp. vs. Franklin Baker, Inc., GR number 251463, August 2, 2023. Focus. Civil Law. Summary. The Supreme Court upheld the dismissal of Greenspan's complaint, ruling that CIAC has primary jurisdiction over construction disputes involving arbitration clauses, even without direct contractual privity with the project owner. Key points. Doctrines. 1. CIAC holds primary jurisdiction over construction disputes when contracts contain arbitration clauses, pursuant to Executive Order No. 1008 and RA No. 9285. 2. Arbitration agreements bind all parties involved in the construction project, including subcontractors, even if they lack direct contractual ties with the project owner. 3. Article 1729 of the Civil Code does not override arbitration clauses, and subcontractors' claims for unpaid work must still be resolved through arbitration if stipulated in the contract. Case number 5. Bacar vs. People, GR numbers 226098 and 233817, August 23, 2023. Focus. Criminal Law. Summary. The Supreme Court ruled that the RTC had no jurisdiction over the qualified theft charges against Bacar and Mercado, as the cases involved an agrarian dispute requiring prior determination by the DAR. Key points. Doctrines. 1. When a party alleges an agrarian dispute and tenancy is involved, the case must first be referred to the Department of Agrarian Reform, DAR, under Section 50A of RA No. 6657, as amended. 2. Regular courts are precluded from hearing agrarian-related cases unless the DAR certifies that no agrarian dispute exists, ensuring proper jurisdictional boundaries. 3. A DARAB ruling declaring a party a tenant creates a presumption of agrarian dispute, which must be resolved administratively before any criminal prosecution can proceed. Case number 6. Republic vs. Spouses Tan. GR number 232778, August 23, 2023. Focus. Civil law. Summary. The Supreme Court partially denied the petition and remanded the case, holding that while possession and ownership were sufficiently established, the respondent's proof of the land's alienability and disposability did not comply with the requirements under Republic Act No. 11573, necessitating the reception of new evidence. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Judicial confirmation of imperfect title under the Public Land Act and Property Registration Decree requires proof that the land is alienable and disposable, which must be established through a certification issued by a duly authorized DENR geodetic engineer. 2. Compliance with Republic Act No. 11573 is mandatory, and such certification must conform to the updated procedural and substantive requirements, including proper survey plan references and official classification. 3. Where proof of alienability is deficient, courts may remand the case for reception of additional evidence, particularly to determine the land's classification and the continuity of possession dating back to the required statutory period. Case number 7. National Grid Corp. of the Philippines vs. Gaite, GR number 232119, August 17, 2022. Focus. Civil law. Summary. The Supreme Court reversed the RTC's valuation and adopted the Joint Commissioner's recommendation, ruling that just compensation must be based on actual, reliable data and not speculative or unsupported findings. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Just compensation in expropriation cases is a judicial prerogative, and courts must base their valuation on credible, factual, and reliable data. 2. Commissioners' reports are subject to judicial review, and may be disregarded if they lack legal or factual basis. 3. Speculative valuations, such as unsupported reclassification or irrelevant property comparisons, cannot justify deviation from more substantiated findings. Case number 8. Besmonte vs. National Police Commission National Capital Region, GR number 260148, April 3, 2024. Focus. Political law. Summary. The Supreme Court modified the penalty against Besmonte from dismissal to 6 months suspension, ruling that his conduct constituted simple, not grave, misconduct due to lack of corruption or flagrant law violation. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Grave misconduct requires elements of corruption, clear intent to violate the law, or flagrant disregard of established rules, and warrants dismissal only when these are present. 2. Simple misconduct involves rule violations without corrupt intent or gross negligence, and merits a lesser penalty such as suspension. 3. Administrative penalties must be commensurate with the nature and gravity of the offense, and excessive punishment without sufficient basis violates principles of fairness and proportionality. Case number 9. Galbinez Jr. vs. McJerry's Restaurant, GR number 205597, September 28, 2022. Focus. Labor law. Summary. The Supreme Court ruled that Galbinez was not dismissed nor did he abandon his work, but was entitled to separation pay and monetary benefits due to the impracticality of reinstatement. Key points. Doctrines. 1. In illegal dismissal cases, the employee must first prove that dismissal occurred, before the employer is required to justify it with a valid cause. 2. Abandonment must be proven by clear, overt acts showing intent to sever the employment relationship, and mere absence or employer assumption is insufficient. 3. Separation pay may be awarded in lieu of reinstatement, especially when reinstatement is no longer feasible due to the passage of time or strained relations. Case number 10. XXX vs. People, GR number 255877, March 29, 2023. Focus. Criminal law. Summary. The Supreme Court acquitted the petitioner, ruling that mere failure to provide financial support does not constitute economic abuse under RA number 9262 unless done willfully and with intent to cause psychological harm. Key points. Doctrines. 1. Economic abuse under Section 5(I) of RA number 9262 requires both the act of willfully withholding financial support and the intent to inflict mental or emotional anguish. 2. Mere cessation of support, without proof of malicious intent, is insufficient to establish criminal liability, even if emotional distress results. 3. Courts must assess the totality of circumstances, including the reasons for withholding support and the absence of deliberate harm, before convicting under the anti-VAWC law. Like and subscribe for more Justice Gaerlan case notes.